Well, good morning. Answer me this. Question number 9. And this question is from Nicole. Nicole, thank you for the question. And here's the question. When you're talking to someone about Christ who is not a believer, how do you prevent the discussion from becoming an argument where you're just defending your beliefs? And I guess the idea is that the discussion is no longer productive. And that's a really good question, and thank you for that. And congratulations, because most people end up burning their bridges to having discussions at all with non-Christians for fear of getting into those non-productive and uncomfortable arguments with people. So congratulations on not burning your bridges. First thing to remember is that you are not a politician. You know, a politician representing a point of view or a jurisdiction of a community. You are one person with one worldview, just like most people. And so God can defend himself, and so can the Bible. In this country, at least, you are allowed to have your point of view, and you have no reason or motivation to impose that point of view on anybody else. Just remember that the same thing applies to everybody. The same applies to the person that you're talking to. So that's not to say, and be careful, that's not to say that some ideas are better than others. We've gotten into this thing today where people have this idea that everybody's idea is kind of on equal standing, and that's just not true. It's objectively not true, all right? So some ideas are better than other ideas. Ideas can be evaluated objectively for truth, for contradiction, for contribution to society or detriment to society. So we need to be able, in our discussions, to evaluate ideas. So ideas and belief systems are not all equal. And so, by the way, while we're on the subject of objectivity, depending on what you're talking about, please remember that there is also such a thing as objective moral laws. Right? So there's no question that most of us can agree that there is evil in the world. If we agree that evil exists, then there must be an objective moral law that everybody is following. But that's another subject. Back on track, okay, to what we're talking about here. You know the expression, you don't have to die on every hill? Well, what it means is that not all subjects are worth dying for. So offering an opinion on a subject doesn't have to make you the official spokesperson for a particular point of view on an issue. So you have to decide what is really so important that you're willing to damage an otherwise good relationship in order to win an argument. So you need to decide what is so important. What are you willing to damage a relationship for in order to win? Now, some people think that everything is important, and those are the people that die on every hill. It ends up that those people, like I was saying at the beginning, those are the people that burn their bridges. Those are the people that are not, they're more interested in the information than they are about the relationships, about the people. So, let's look at some passages of Scripture. For instance, the questions, if you look at John chapter 4, this is the encounter of Jesus with the Samaritan woman. Now, the questions that the Samaritan woman asks Jesus, you see that most of these questions Jesus steers away from. And you really have to read the passage there, John chapter 4, to get, to see what's happening here. For instance, why do you speak to me and ask me for water, knowing that I am a Samaritan woman? Jesus doesn't answer that question. Or how about, are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us this well? Doesn't answer. Should we worship on this mountain or in Jerusalem? He actually doesn't answer that question directly either. So do you understand that in the conversations that Jesus has often with people, he's focusing on certain things. He's not dying on every hill, right? So look at the conversation with Nicodemus, which, by the way, John chapter 3, Nicodemus is the only recorded positive conversation with a religious leader. And so look at some of the statements that Nicodemus offers, and one of them, for no one could perform the signs you are doing if God were not with him. Quite a statement, right? But Jesus does not respond to that comment at all. He sees it as a red herring. So does Jesus answer or comment or even follow in the same line of thought of what Nicodemus offers? No, he doesn't. The whole conversation steers away from a discussion about theology to a discussion about Nicodemus. Now, that's a key, okay, for the way that Jesus is directing these conversations. He's more interested in the person of Nicodemus, and the whole guy, he's not winning a theological argument here. He is talking about the person of Nicodemus, his life, and what the gospel means to him personally. So how about the woman caught in adultery? John chapter 8. Jesus in this encounter doesn't launch into a discussion, biblical or otherwise, a discussion about why adultery is wrong, etc., etc. Right? He didn't even tell the woman caught in adultery about the wrong she had done. He assumes she understands that she's done wrong, and he tells her about his forgiveness and tells her to go and to sin no more. But the conversation is very limited as far as even for Jesus talking, to the crowd, about telling, what are you doing? And there's no sense here that Jesus wants to win an argument. He does, however, want to make forgiveness clear to this woman and tells her to go and sin no more. So here's a few, from this passage and a few other passages, a summary, if you will. First of all, not every issue is worth dying for. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 23 says, don't have anything to do with foolish and stupid arguments, because you know they produce quarrels, which is what this question that I'm answering today is talking about, right? So the 2 Timothy, the Apostle Paul is saying later in his ministry life, after a whole life, of doing this, the Apostle Paul says, just have nothing to do with it. Okay, and by the example of Jesus, we see the same thing. Okay, so number 2, focus on people, not on winning an argument. And I've already said this a few times, but I'm making it official now. Okay, so focus on people, not on winning an argument. So love people more than you love an idea or an ideology or a theology or whatever. Love people, right? Number 3, ask yourself this question. What is your goal in having a conversation with someone about God or religion or morality or having a conversation at all? What is your goal? Now, I'm not saying that every conversation needs to have a goal, but if you're trying to steer clear of oppositional or aggressive encounters, it helps to have a goal in mind. Norman Vincent Peale wrote a book a long time ago, and the title of that book is Something to Remember. Learn to win friends and influence people. Now, that's not the only thing we're doing in life, okay? But it's something to remember. Learn to win friends and influence people. Sometimes you will make enemies simply by being who you are as a Christian. Just by being in a certain context with some people, just by being who you are, you will make enemies, and you can't help that. But you can help getting into counterproductive, disagreements. Finally, today, in your attitude and conversation, be a person who reflects the love of God in everything you do and say. Don't become, the go-to person for evolution or abortion or Lord forbid, which version of the Bible or some other conspiracy theory. Don't become that person. Become the Christian. Be the person who glorifies God, the person who loves God, who loves people, and and just reflect that in everything that you do and you say, and that you say. So I hope this helps, and it's the beginning of an answer of a question. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post, to let me know. And thanks a lot for your attention.